homeless woman back there, just trashing some fence. It's like a little kind of garden fence, and she's like pulling the stakes out of it, smashing them. I've seen her around for years. I've talked to her a couple times too. She's nice sometimes, and then other times just too kind of gone. But it's got to be frustrating. It's a situation where we have people that they have mental health issues, and not only are they not getting any help, although put a pin in that, not getting any help, they don't get the attention or anything. And when it comes to homeless people, a lot of times people will act like they're not even there. They'll purposely and I understand why, because a lot of times it's like, they're a certain type of way. So that's why it's always good to get information from them, from me. They'll fill me in on a lot of stuff, the ones that I know, because people will do anything in front of them, including the moving of people, that I've talked about here on and off. Because it's almost like they don't see them as human beings. They'll do drugs in front of them, they'll steal stuff in front of them, they act like they're not there. It's really weird. It's really weird. So, I've been with people too, when they're smoking weed or something outside, and it's like, gosh, we gotta stay out of sight, and then, there's a guy over here. No, he's just a homeless guy, don't worry about it. It's, I don't know what that is. I mean, it speaks to something about us as people, and I know people don't want to deal with it. Same reason why people kind of shut themselves off from any group of people that cause problems in society. They just don't want to deal. They don't want to deal. And they've seen so much bad stuff, and they've seen, behaviors and things like that. So they just don't want to have anything to do with it. But it must get to you after a while. To walk around and kind of feel as if, you're invisible, or you're like an invisible person. We can go. This guy's walking the fucking street. Fucking idiot. Fucking Norman. Yeah, so it's got to be like, I don't know. It's got to suck. So once in a while, they'll have a little freak out, and indeed that's what happened with this woman. She was smashing things, smashing things. She's a little violent though. I've had friends of mine that were the nomadic type that have been attacked by her while they were sleeping for no reason, So she's a little off anyway. But yeah, I just saw her freaking out, smashing some stuff. And part of me is like, just go over there. And I mean, it could be even a demonic situation, although who knows? I mean, I've seen this woman a long time, and she's done that kind of stuff on and off. But my compassion is sometimes overrun by my want to just get to do the whatever errand I'm on, like right now. It's sad, and there's no answer for any of it. Oh, in that pen situation, yes, help is offered sometimes. There are agencies and people like outreach, but they don't often take anyone up on it. In fact, they'll usually fucking run from people who are looking to help them. And I think it's a deeper psychological thing that has to do probably with responsibility. They're in the situation they're in, a lot of them, because they just want to opt out of the world, and they don't want the responsibilities of the world. So even someone offering you a P.O. box can sometimes just feel too overwhelming. You just don't want the responsibility of having your name on something. And all these outreach people, they're offering what they can, but a lot of times it's not a great deal because you got to be dry or off drugs to even start the process. So you have to get, and I don't know if that's how it is at every place. I don't know if they accept intake of people who are fucked up, and maybe in some other places, but from what I know about around here, you can't go in there all fucked up, and I understand why. But the problem is, it's like, unless you can get help, you're probably going to remain fucked up. So you needed the people to help you not get fucked up, but you have to be fucked up to go. You see what I mean? It's an Ouroboros. Ouroboros. And then there's like the drug issue, but the drugs and the mental health issues kind of work hand in hand. They all feed into each other. Like if you get put out on the street for whatever reason, and you're not a drug user, sooner or later you're going to become a drug user. It's just how it is. It's just the nature of, how things are out here for a lot, not just here, but homelessness everywhere. There's a lot of enemies to being homeless, and one of the enemies is time. A lot of time to think about things, and for people a lot of time drugs is the only really escape from that, the only answer from that, and then once you start doing it, it's just a cycle, and you're never going to get your financial footing because you understand how that happens. And then like there's the other thing too, it's like almost a security issue. The guys will take meth to stay up so they're not like robbed in the night. The other day I was talking about how in the homeless community they always rob each other, when they're sleeping. People go around like specifically looking for passed out homeless people in bags and try to rob them. So like they'll take the meth, stay up all night, and then when it's daylight, go lay on the beach or something to sleep. It happens all the time. It's such a shit situation to get stuck in, because once you're in that situation, it's very hard to get out. I mean, very hard. And then, you have mental health issues or problems that you didn't have before you were homeless, whether it's either the drugs or the mental health. But if you just had one or the other, you're going to have both. And it fucking shortens your life. It takes a toll on you physically. I mean, hey, on. Be right back. Yeah, like I've seen guys that they're young, young guys first coming out on the street here, or a new guy. You can always kind of tell, but you can see, who new ones are. They seem to come in groups. There's a YouTuber that did I forget who it was, but they did a documentary about the homeless here and how they get here, and they come in big groups. And anyway, I always think of the same guy, this one dude, this kid. He had a dog. Yeah, I think he still does, and I think it's the same dog. But he was new, and I don't know, early 20s, He looks like fucking the old man of the mountain now. Whatever, 5-6 years later. I mean, he looks like a guy in his 40s at least, Lack of sleep will really fuck with you, because your body heals the best, and when you're sleeping, that's when all that shit gets done, because the system isn't concerned with running all the departments. It has to run when you're awake, It can shift all that to just repairing. And repairing, your health. Those guys are really aggressive. The skincare guys. I had one the other day, and they're all Israelis too. The companies are based out of Israel. There's some kind of thing going on with the foreskin trade there too, I think. But I'm walking through the mall, and this guy's going, hey. Because a few people behind me. Now, just as a general rule, I don't answer to hey. I don't answer to buddy. Not even brother. Not even, I just don't. If you don't know me, right? What are you trying to get my attention for? Usually for something that you want, So usually I just ignore them. But I'm in the mall. No one else around. Hey, I'm like, I turn around and look at him. He's like, nice tattoos. I'm like, oh, thank you. You think that'd be the end of it. No. Hey, where'd you get those? You get them on the island? I'm like, no, I'm not stopping. I'm walking and talking. And I didn't realize what he was at first. So I just thought he was just some weirdo. Or maybe he fucking, wanted a date or something. I had no idea. So I just keep walking. And as we make the corner, we end up at the skin place. There's a guy waiting out front with a tray of chocolate. And I'm like, oh, he's going in here. Oh, he knows, he's a skin guy. And then the guy with the tray is like, one for you? I'm like, yeah, thank you. So grab it. He's like, no, wait, I have another one for you. I'm like, nope. That's what you have to do. So now they're both calling me from the store. And they'll use anything they can. Hey, they'll tell you drop something. They just want to snare you in. One day, a couple of years ago, I did a video on it where I went into one just to go to see what the fuck it was all about. I knew I'm not buying anything, you know, but I got put in and did like a Botox treatment, and they do it for one side of your face, and they tell you this so you can see the difference. But they just want you to fucking have a weird looking face that you can only fix by getting the other side done. I didn't see a huge difference anyway, but I knew I wasn't going to spend any money, but they didn't know that. So the whole entire time I'm in the chair, they put me in a chair, they do all this stuff, and they're just talking about my payment. Like, it wasn't even like, would you like to buy something? It was more like, all right, so we have to get your have to get you to cover this and that, and with your purchase you're going to get this and that. Like, we'd figured out at some point, it'd already been agreed upon. So I'm like, yeah, I don't have any cash on me, you know. Well, do you have a credit card? I'm like, no, my wife handles all the money, you know, she doesn't trust me with it, which is kind of true. And so she's like, well, can we, basically, without going through this whole reenactment, they were trying to get me to call her on the phone to get the credit card number to pay for whatever. We hadn't talked about a price. We hadn't talked about anything. There was no this selling me specific thing. It was just like, all right, well, we got you in here. We're doing this. Yeah, we have to get your card on file. But they weren't saying it in a way like we want you to buy something. Everything was about, we have to get your card on file. We have to get you to, you know, to keep this process, to keep these procedure thing. And you know, when you pay, then we can do this. No, he didn't even say pay. I think that they're obviously trained to do all this stuff, and they're very persuasive. And there was a story on the Honolulu Civil Beat website talking about how there was a lawyer who was trying to do, I think it was a class action of multiple older folks, trying to go after them for basically like robbing old people, you know, because they don't know what the fuck. They tell them to come on in, sit down in this chair, and then I could see easily how like a nicer old person who comes from a world where it didn't used to be like this, being taken advantage of, and they don't care. They would take candy from a child. You know, they're just those kind of people. I mean, right now they're doing a genocide. So I mean, it's, you know, it's how you, and that's exclusively who it is. Most of them have an accent, and yeah, it has some. I know there's a foreskin trade thing going on somewhere in this chain, which I unfortunately added to when I was a baby. My mom and dad, you know, they didn't know any better. Well, the doctors will lie to you, especially back then. They'll tell you it's good for health and you need it, but it doesn't do anything. If anything, more you could have more problems because of it. You know, not only doesn't shield you from anything, but you could have a lot of other things fucked up with you. And, you know, you're a baby, right? So you can't consent to anything. And they basically, there's no anesthesia in this situation at all. They just strap you down to this thing, and they rip a giant piece off your neck. And it's so painful. It changes your brain on like a chemical level. It changes the, what's the word I'm looking for? It fucks with your brain, basically. And there's a lot of people that post these things of before and after videos, like before my baby got a circ and after he got a circ. And the photos in the video is always showing like a kid, little baby, like real happy, smiling, you know. And then after, he's just like completely zoned out, like he saw the fucking mountain man or something. Like, just eyes are wide and like, what the fuck just happened to me? It changes your brain chemistry and makes you more kind of docile. These are things, hey, what's up, man? These are things that stick with you forever. This is trauma, heavy trauma. It's one of the first things they do to you when you're born. And then after that, it's a series of other traumas, basically, for the rest of your life. But they get started young. The streets give me big time deja vu of partying with my friends. When I first came here to Hawaii, I was still using drugs, various kinds. I'd gotten off the pills. I was on the blue Perk 30s for a good 5 years. I was doing that shit before it was popular, but I'd gotten off them by the time I came here. And aside from a couple times where they became available to me, a few brief times, I never went back. And a lot of that has to do with the kratom situation. Kratom keeps you from wanting anything like that, you know. So, for whatever reason, this reminded me of being fucked up and walking around with my friends. Because when I came here, my drug use almost took a spike up. Especially when I came off the blue pills, I felt like, well, I'm basically sober now. You know, so I can do anything. You know, like I heard Scott Weiland mention that too. He was talking about when he got off heroin, he was just doing everything, smoking crack and all this other bad shit. But in his mind, he was still sober. And that's how it is, because the opiates, the addiction to them is so profound and all-encompassing. When you're on them, it's your life. It becomes your life. I can only imagine how much worse it is when you're on heroin, you know, because I'm on the pills. I was on the pills, the blue ones, Perk 30s. I crush them up and snort them. But I was never an injector, so I never really stumbled over to the heroin thing, and thank God I didn't, because once you're at that, because I know how hard it was just with those, I can't imagine what it would have been like to have to do the same thing with something that's way stronger, you know, and, you know, cheaper, too. I remember when, by the time I was done buying the blue perks, it was like $1 a meg, right? So I'd do at least 3 a day. That'd be a slow day. So it's like $100 a day, which is kind of what we spend here just walking around. Yeah, it goes so fast here. It's like, you know, it's unbelievable. Everything's so expensive. So expensive. You know, I was talking to one of my friends about it. The price of how expensive everything is and how hard it is to live here. And we're saying that's why it's so shocking when a whole group of people gets dumped here that usually aren't known to be in the top earning group. There's a lot of like, how the fuck did you get here, you know? And I know normal people asking that question too. You know, a couple of years ago, I felt like I was the only one noticing what was happening with the immigration situation. But now, thankfully, you know, people are they've kind of noticed it. They've noticed it, but they don't know how to talk about it. I look back at old photos from when I was a teenager, and I had the most ridiculous hair. It was ridiculous. It was like done up like Michael Monroe or Nikki Sixx or something. It was done up like that, like all the time. I can only imagine what my dad thought. You know, he must have been like, Jesus Christ. He was always cool about it. He never really made an issue about it, but when you have no point of reference, like I was just copying the dudes I listened to in music, to have this big giant hairdo, almost Steve. It was like a Steve Stevens almost kind of thing, with blonde streaks in it too. It's fucking really over the top. And then all the other things I would do, the way I would dress and stuff, it's crazy. And, you know, I look back at those hairdos and stuff and I think, holy shit, man. I think everyone must go through this, right? Like when they were a kid, hairstyles at the time seemed cool. And then as you get older, you know, you realize they're not. This generation, though, is fucking puzzling. puzzling. And I'm an older guy, so, you know, there's that. But the younger kids, these younger dudes, it's like, I can't tell who has it worse, the white guys or the black guys. The white dudes have what is known as like broccoli hair. I don't understand where anyone thinks that looks good. It's almost like someone was ribbing you. Like, all right, we got to do this. It's like a joke. Like, literally lost the bet. You know, you hear that phrase thrown around, lost. They lost the bet. It's like they lost the bet. It's ridiculous. They don't look good. And again, you know, and I always think like the girls like that, the girls in their age group, that, you know, whatever their age group happens to be, a teenager or a young guy, do they think that looks good? Are they attracted? Like, I can't understand how. It's just like, well, you know what it is. I don't have to explain it. It's just so unbelievable to me that someone thinks that's okay to do. It's like there's always, every generation has their bad styles, you know. Lived through the grunge thing in the early 2000s, spiky moose hair thing, and just all this different stuff. But this has got to be the weirdest one yet. It's got to be, like, I can't think of anything that could even come close. And black guys, they have their own version of it. And I can't, and it's the very popular way to wear hair, and I can't decide who has it better. I mean, who has it worse, because their version looks like there's a giant group of tarantula spiders on your head. Like, it's real creepy looking, you know. Well, that's kind of weird. I just walked past the guy that I was talking about earlier. I haven't seen him in a while either. It's been a long time since I saw that guy. I figured I assumed he might just be dead or something. I didn't say it, but I was thinking that as I was talking about him earlier. I'm like, yeah, he's probably no longer with us. You know, the guy said, oh, he had a little dog and this and that. That was him. I just walked by him. And I mean, this video, that part I recorded, I know this one is broken up into different sections, but I was talking about him to you guys here less than an hour ago. That was like 45 minutes ago, maybe. I was over there talking about him. And hadn't seen him. I hadn't seen him since the COVID thing. So it's been years, right? And there it was. He was here when I first came here. He was here already. But he was in his 20s, right? Maybe, I'm guessing. He always had that dog, too. And then, like, the last time I saw him, like I said, he looked like Old Man River or Old Man the Mountains. Like he just looked like now when I walked by him. And that's what happens being out here. It takes its toll on you. I don't know if that counts as a synchronicity. I mean, I'd say I'd run it by Carl, but if it was, he'd already been out here talking about it. Now it's nighttime. Yeah, I just wanted to talk quickly about those new elements to the drone thing. And we're talking to Nia about it. It's like if this were the 90s or even the 2000s, early 2000s, if there was what appeared to be an invasion of flying things that the government says they don't know what they are, that's all we would be talking about. Every TV would be tuned to the news, and houses of people would be gathered around TVs, neighbors would be coming back and forth. It's all that would be the point of attention for everyone until it came to some kind of conclusion. Now it's happening into the second week, and like it's like maybe the third or fourth story of the day. But there are these things, the reason that is because of trauma. Speaking of trauma, what the fuck happened here? Yeah, people still have been so traumatized that I don't think they give a shit about anything anymore. But there are these things now that are like orbs that fly around in between around the drones, and like the drones themselves, no one knows what they are or whatever. But these are weird because they're like globes of energy. You've seen them. You probably know what the fuck I'm talking about. But there was a video I saw of this woman that was talking to one of them because I guess they've been communicating with people in different ways. They've been following people. There's a guy that was showing how he was following him. He was going behind trees, and it was kind of when he'd walk out, it would walk out with him. So there's some kind of sentience to them, or they're controlled by someone that has sentience. And the woman was talking to her, like, "Can you see me?" And it was nothing. And then she said something about Jesus, like Jesus Christ loves me or something, and it lit up. It went like it glowed. It glowed. It's fucking crazy. It was like, wow. I don't know if that was a good glow or if it was a oh fuck kind of glow. But yeah, I mean, it happened. You can see it. It's like right there. It's a Jesus, and it went lit right up. I don't know. Weird times. I've said many times over the past few years of doing this that it's just going to get weirder and weirder. And indeed it is, like I said a few minutes ago, we're at that point where there's some kind of what looks like to be I don't know if it's an invasion, but it's a visitation by something. And, people think it's weird, but that's about it. And that to me is crazy, because I'm old enough to remember. I mean, any of these things that happened in the past few years, one story, people would be talking about it or thinking about it for months, and or at least longer than they do now, where it's an issue, and then by the end of the day, it's that they're onto something else. It's just everything just goes into the news cycle. Whatever. All right, I'm gonna stop in the store then and then head home for the night. This week I've been spacing things out. Like, instead of uploading every day, I do one every other day, just to maybe give people a chance to see stuff. I don't know. I don't know if that even matters, but I've been trying it. And either way, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here for good. I'm like a HPV. Until then, next we meet. Thanks for dropping in. Making sure I haven't been banned yet. And until next time, don't blame the teacher, blame the school.